I hope someday that some of the young fellows that's coming into the game will know how it feels.
I'm Stan Lee, editor of the Marvel Comics Group of Superhero Comic Magazine.
The iceberg grazed the right side of the ship.
And all of a sudden she lifted up quickly. Everything that was movable was going through her.
I didn't think it was serious because I didn't think it was possible a big ship like that could sink. It sank very quickly.
On a brisk Wednesday, April 10th, 1912, bathed in brilliant sunshine that barely warmed the chilly air, an icon set sail from Southampton, the RMS Titanic, deemed the unsinkable pride of the White Star Line. Commanded by the venerable Captain Edward John Smith, this voyage marked his final appointment before retirement. The Titanic, a marvel of its time, embarked on its maiden voyage from Southampton, bound for the bustling shores of New York. Aboard this colossal vessel were a diverse array of passengers. Renowned industrialists and actors mingled with hopeful immigrants, all seeking a promising future in America. The anticipation surrounding the Titanic was palpable, permeating through the passengers, the public, and the media alike. Not only was it the world's largest ship, stretching an impressive 269 meters in length and towering over 53 meters high, but its opulent amenities were nothing short of awe-inspiring. With a construction cost of $7.5 million, equivalent to a staggering $238 million today, the Titanic spared no expense in providing unparalleled luxury. Stained glass mirrors, intricate wood paneling, 2 grand staircases, a heated swimming pool, a Turkish bath, an electric bath, a gym, a squash court, 4 restaurants, 2 barber shops, and a library. This ship redefined extravagance on the high seas. What truly captured the public's imagination was the belief in the Titanic's invincibility. Bolstered by state-of-the-art safety features, the ship was heralded as unsinkable. The Titanic, heralded as an unsinkable marvel by the confident vice president of the White Star Line, embarked on its maiden voyage on April 10, 1912. 2 days into the journey, on April 12th, the ship encountered its first ice warnings as it traversed the ice-laden waters of the Atlantic, despite the danger posed by looming icebergs. A routine occurrence in maritime communication, the Titanic altered its course twice but maintained a swift speed of 21.5 knots. On the ill-fated night of April 14, 1912, 7 additional ice warnings were received, yet Captain Smith and his crew opted to ignore them, maintaining the vessel's high speed. The night was marked by the absence of moonlight, rendering visibility low. Atop the ship's crow's nest, where lookout personnel endured biting cold winds, crew member Frederick Fleet spotted a colossal iceberg at 11:39 p.m. Fleet urgently rang the bell and notified the officers on the bridge. Despite immediate attempts to steer the ship away, at 11:40 p.m., just a minute later, the Titanic collided with the iceberg. The tragic event unfolded against a backdrop of darkness and frigid temperatures, forever altering the course of this supposedly unsinkable ship.
Among her passengers were many of the wealthy and influential. The band played the gayest tunes and American ragtime dances. The time was 11:40.
The colossal iceberg that sealed the Titanic's fate was no mere ice mass, measuring a staggering 400 feet, equivalent to a football field. It matched the crow's nest in height. Scientists estimated its weight at a jaw-dropping 1.5 million tons. The Titanic's front right side, near the bow, collided with this mammoth iceberg, resulting in a massive dent and small holes in the ship's body. As Captain Smith and architect Thomas Andrews assessed the damage, shock overcame them. The ship, thought to be unsinkable due to 2 key safety features, a double-bottomed hull and 16 watertight compartments, faced a catastrophic reality. The impact was on the ship's side, rendering the double-bottom hull useless, and the breach in 6 out of 16 compartments spelled doom. At 12:00 a.m., 20 minutes after the collision, Captain Smith initiated a distress call, entrusting senior radio Jack Phillips to send signals repeatedly. Only RMS Carpathia, 107 kilometers away, responded. The ship's slow approach posed a critical challenge as the Titanic's crew lit flares in desperation. Amidst evacuation efforts, passengers remained surprisingly calm, buoyed by the belief in the ship's unsinkable status. The first lifeboat, with a capacity for 65, lowered with only 28 aboard, reflecting the prevailing confidence. However, as compartments filled and the ship tilted, panic ensued, revealing the harsh reality that the unsinkable ship was, indeed, sinking. By 1 a.m., the Titanic's front compartments were inundated, causing the bow to sink while the rear emerged. Pandemonium ensued as the ship tilted, triggering fights for lifeboat seats. With only 20 lifeboats for approximately 2,200 people, scarcity intensified. At 2:05 a.m., the last lifeboat descended, leaving 1,500 on board. Amidst chaos, some fought for lifeboats, while others accepted their fate, remaining on the sinking ship.
And it was chaotic at the end. Everybody was crying, praying, trying to get into the few lifeboats that were left. No, it was pretty sad at the end.
Eyewitnesses reported the Titanic breaking in two at approximately 2:20, sinking within 3 hours. Of the 1,500 people on board, many drowned or succumbed to hypothermia in the frigid 2 degrees Celsius waters. Captain Edward Smith, it said, remained at the helm until the ship's demise, with speculation of suicide. RMS Carpathia arrived around 3:34 a.m., an hour late, attempting to save those on the ill-fated ship. In the aftermath of the Titanic disaster, a wave of questions and controversies emerged, unraveling startling facts that shocked the world. Astonishingly, the SS Californian, a mere 37 kilometers away from the sinking Titanic, could have reached it in time to rescue passengers. An hour before the collision, the Californian issued the last iceberg warning at 11:15 p.m. before shutting off its radio and halting for the night due to the surrounding danger. Unaware of the unfolding tragedy, the Californian didn't receive the distress signal. The proximity of the Californian to the Titanic was visible to those on the deck, with some officers even expressing optimism about rescue. However, the Californian failed to respond, dismissing rockets and flares as mere revelry. Crew members observed the distress signals after midnight, informing Captain Stanley Lord, who tragically dismissed them as non-urgent. Had Captain Lord taken the signals seriously, many lives could have been saved. The next morning, upon activating their radio, the Californian received the SOS calls from the Titanic, but arrived too late, encountering a sea of lifeless bodies. Inquiries assigned blame to Captain Lord, yet the disaster implicated multiple parties. Insufficient lifeboats, a consequence of the unfounded belief in the Titanic's unsinkability, played a crucial role. Furthermore, the Titanic's captain neglected safety drills, canceling one scheduled for the day of the iceberg collision. The tragedy's complexity reveals systemic failures beyond a single individual's responsibility. The subsequent error in the Titanic tragedy was attributed to steersman Robert Hitchens, stationed at the wheel. When an iceberg alarm echoed that night, the deck officer ordered a left turn. Unfortunately, in a panicked state, Hitchens misunderstood and steered the ship right, directly towards the iceberg. The realization of his mistake came too late. The British inquiry highlighted numerous iceberg warnings, urging caution, yet the Titanic maintained full speed. The question arises, why didn't the captain slow down? One prevailing theory implicates Joseph Bruce, chairman and managing director of White Star Line, the company behind the Titanic. Allegedly, he pressured Captain Smith to maintain speed, aiming to break records for the biggest, most expensive, and fastest ship. On April 14th, when Captain Smith showed Bruce an ice warning, suggesting a speed reduction, Bruce concealed it to avoid alarming passengers and crew, prioritizing the ship's pace over safety. The Titanic catastrophe spurred industry-wide changes. In 1914, the International Ice Patrol was established to alert ships about oncoming icebergs. The International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was signed, introducing regulations such as the mandate for a sufficient number of lifeboats for passengers. This disaster triggered a paradigm shift in maritime safety standards. The Titanic's wreckage, submerged 3,800 meters below the sea, was discovered in 1985 by American ocean explorer Robert Ballard and French oceanographer Jean-Louis Michel. Two separate pieces of the ship, found 600 meters apart, revealed the remnants of a vessel that once epitomized luxury. Over time, environmental factors have initiated its erosion, with bacteria and organisms gradually consuming its metal framework. Predictions suggest that by 2030, the Titanic may completely disintegrate underwater. Even after 111 years, the allure of the Titanic endures in the collective consciousness, a testament to its enduring impact on history and the indelible mark it left on maritime regulations and safety practices. And there you have it, folks, the unsolved story of the Titanic. It's a tale of tragedy, heroism, and lingering mysteries that continue to captivate our imaginations. Can you hear the resonating strains of a symphony composed not by instruments, but by the relentless pulse of a nation grappling with the Great Depression. Join us as we peel back the layers of time to uncover the hidden overture that shaped America in ways we could never have imagined. As we embark on this journey, envision a nation at a crossroads, standing on the precipice of economic collapse. The Roaring '20s echoes fade into the abyss, giving way to a decade that would test the very foundations of the American dream. What stories lie beneath the surface of this forgotten chapter, where the crescendo of human suffering intertwines with the resilience that defined an era? Step into the heart of the Dust Bowl, where relentless winds shape destinies and navigate the corridors of power in Washington, witnessing firsthand the struggles of a nation determined to overcome adversity. This is not just a historical account, it's a cinematic exploration of Hollywood's golden age, a glittering escapade that provided solace to a populace seeking refuge from harsh realities. Yet beneath the glamour lurks a discordant note of racial inequality, setting the stage for the civil rights movement that would redefine America's social landscape. As the symphony reaches its crescendo, the world teeters on the brink of global conflict, mirroring the domestic strife that concludes this decade-long saga. A nation at the crossroads, prelude to a decade of turmoil. As the United States entered the 1930s, it found itself standing at a crossroads, a nation poised between the remnants of the Roaring '20s exuberance and the looming shadows of an impending crisis. The stock market crash 1929, a seismic jolt to the nation's economic foundation, had set the stage for a decade of unparalleled turmoil. The promises of prosperity and boundless opportunity, so integral to the American dream, now seemed like distant echoes, fading into the harsh reality of the Great Depression. The 1930s marked a profound and transformative era, challenging the very fabric of American society. The aftermath of the economic collapse rippled through every corner of the nation, unraveling the tapestry woven by the optimism of the previous decade. Against this backdrop, the resilience of the American spirit would be tested, and the ensuing narrative would be one of both despair and determination. The tapestry unravels, unveiling the human tragedy of the Great Depression. The Great Depression was not a mere economic downturn. It was a profound human tragedy that unfolded on the grand stage of American life. Jobs evaporated, homes disintegrated, and dreams shattered like fragile glass. The Hoovervilles, makeshift communities of the destitute, sprouted across the landscape, stark symbols of the pervasive destitution. Citizens, once proud and self-reliant, now stood on breadlines, their dignity eroded by the relentless grip of poverty. During this period of unparalleled hardship, the nation witnessed a transformation in the social fabric. Families faced with the harsh reality of unemployment and hunger clung to hope with a tenacity that defied the economic storm. These personal sagas, often overshadowed in the broader historical narrative, emerged as poignant testaments to the resilience of the human spirit. Portrait of resilience, stories from the depths of despair. Within the tumultuous narrative of the 1930s, individual stories emerged as beacons of resilience. Families faced with the harsh reality of unemployment and hunger clung to hope with a tenacity that defied the economic disruption. The human spirit, tested and tormented, found solace in small acts of kindness, communal support, and the unwavering determination to weather the storm. These personal sagas, often overlooked in the broader historical narrative, were the unsung verses in the symphony of survival. The Dust Bowl's menace. Nature joins the chorus of suffering. As economic woes gripped the nation, a natural catastrophe added another layer to the unfolding drama. The Dust Bowl, a relentless force of nature, swept across the plains, turning fertile lands into desolate wastelands. The skies darkened with swirling dust storms, and the agricultural heartland of America withered. The symphony of suffering now had a haunting accompaniment, the mournful howl of the wind echoing the collective agony of communities torn asunder. New horizons or mirage, the politics of despair. In the midst of economic turmoil, the political landscape underwent seismic shifts. The 1930s witnessed the ascent of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a charismatic leader who promised a New Deal, a lifeline for a drowning nation. As the protagonist of our narrative ventured into the political arena, the complexities of relief programs, banking reforms, and the delicate dance between federal and state powers came to the forefront. The New Deal, hailed by some as a harbinger of hope, faced vehement opposition and skepticism from others who questioned its efficacy and long-term consequences. Discordant notes, the struggle for civil rights amidst turmoil, amidst the symphony of despair. A discordant note of racial inequality permeated the air. African Americans, already grappling with systemic discrimination, found their struggles exacerbated by the economic downturn. Yet amidst this adversity, voices rose in defiance. The decade laid the groundwork for the civil rights movement as individuals like Marian Anderson and the Scottsboro Boys confronted prejudice, challenging the nation to confront its own biases. Hollywood's golden age, escapism in the face of hardship. The silver screen became a sanctuary for Americans seeking respite from the harsh realities of the Depression. Hollywood's golden age unfolded, offering a glittering escape into a world of glamour and fantasy. The tales of swashbuckling heroes, glamorous starlets, and magical adventures transported audiences, if only momentarily, from the struggles of everyday life. The film industry, like a masterful composer, orchestrated a counterpoint to the prevailing symphony of despair. The winding path to war, international echoes and domestic strife. As the 1930s neared their conclusion, the world stood on the precipice of global conflict. The rise of authoritarian regimes in Europe and Asia cast ominous shadows, challenging the delicate balance between isolationism and interventionism in the United States. Simultaneously, domestic tensions simmered, epitomized by events like the Spanish Civil War and the controversial America First Committee. The symphony of the 1930s, already laden with economic woes, now faced a crescendo of international uncertainty, setting the stage for a new act on the global stage.
It looks, my friend, like a real landslide this time.
Epilogue of a decade, reflections on a turbulent era. As the final notes of the 1930s symphony faded, the nation stood at the threshold of a new era. The scars of the Great Depression lingered, but the resilience forged in the crucible of hardship paved the way for a redefined America. The 1930s, a decade of despair and determination, left an indelible mark on the nation's identity, a prologue to the challenges and triumphs that would shape the ensuing decades. Like a haunting refrain, the echoes of those tumultuous years continued to resonate in the collective memory, a reminder that even in the darkest times, the human spirit can endure and triumph. As we conclude our journey through the forgotten symphony of the 1930s, we invite you to become a part of the narrative. Did you feel the resonance of history as we navigated through the echoes of the past? Your support is the key to keeping this symphony alive. Like the conductor guiding an orchestra, your likes and shares orchestrate the reach of this forgotten melody, ensuring that its notes resound far and wide. Leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts on the hidden overture of the 1930s. What stories resonated with you, and what aspects surprised you the most? Together we can amplify the echoes of history, ensuring that the symphony of despair reaches those who seek to understand the intricate tapestry of our past. Join us in unraveling more forgotten symphonies and exploring the melodies that have shaped our world. Subscribe, like, and comment. Become a part of the symphony, and let's continue this captivating journey through time together.
I'm Stan Lee, editor of the Marvel Comics Group of Superhero Comic Magazine.
I'm certain you're familiar with Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Avengers, but have you ever pondered the individuals responsible for bringing these characters to life? Stan Lee, the man who gave life to these iconic characters. In today's video, we will delve deeper into the life of Stan Lee and what started out as the creative ideas of a teenage boy evolved into one of the most profitable movie franchises in all of history. So before starting, please hit that like button and subscribe this channel. Early life. Stan Lee, the iconic creator of some of the most beloved superheroes in the comic book universe, was born on December 28, 1922 in New York City. His extraordinary journey from a humble birth to a childhood that laid the foundation for Marvel's universe is as fascinating as the characters he later brought to life. The real name of Stan Lee was Stanley Martin Lieber, and later he changed his name to Stan Lee. He grew up in a modest apartment in the Washington Heights neighborhood of Manhattan. His parents, Celia and Jack Lieber, were Jewish immigrants from Romania. The Lieber household, like many others during the era, faced the economic challenges of the Great Depression. Despite the financial strain, the Liebers strived to provide a nurturing environment for their son. The apartment they called home, though modest, was filled with love and encouragement. Stan Lee's upbringing was grounded in the values of resilience and determination, traits that would later define his approach to the challenges in both his personal life and career. As the Great Depression cast its shadow over the nation, young Stan discovered the power of escapism through the world of storytelling. In the confines of his modest dwelling, he voraciously consumed books, magazines, and the emerging medium of comic strips. These early literary influences not only ignited his imagination but also sowed the seeds of a lifelong love affair with the written word. Education became a focal point of Lee's early years. He attended DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx, where his passion for writing and storytelling began to blossom. The culturally vibrant and intellectually stimulating environment of New York City itself served as an inspiring backdrop for his formative years. His passion for writing and storytelling blossomed during these formative years. Stan Lee entering comic industry. Lee's first foray into the world of comics came in 1939 when he landed a job at Timely Comics, which later evolved into Marvel Comics, as an assistant. Little did he know that this would be the starting point of an extraordinary career. Lee's strong work ethic appeared to take root at an early age and persisted until his passing earlier this year. Upon graduating high school in the late 1930s, Lee dove headfirst into the pursuit of his passion for writing. His overarching ambition was to craft an epic novel and embark on a successful career as an author. However, his initial professional endeavors diverged from novel writing. In a surprising turn, Lee's initial venture into the world of writing involved crafting obituaries. This unconventional start marked the beginning of his true writing journey. Eager to explore his interests further, Lee found opportunities in newspaper positions and engaged in work within local theaters. The transition into the realm of comic books, where Lee would eventually leave an indelible mark, can be traced back to family connections. Lee's uncle, Robbie Solomon, played a pivotal role by securing him a position at a company known as Timely Comics. Working directly under his cousin's husband, Martin Goodman, Lee's introduction to the comic book world began. During his initial days with Timely Comics, Stan Lee's contributions to the creation of iconic heroes and side characters, such as Bucky, were relatively limited. As an assistant, his primary responsibilities included providing writers with additional ink, running various errands around the office, and completing miscellaneous tasks as required. This role showcased Lee's strong work ethic instilled by the influence of his father, which saw him diligently tackling any task assigned to him. Despite the seemingly mundane nature of his early responsibilities, Lee's dedication did not go unnoticed. Over time, he ascended through the ranks, earning more significant assignments and eventually gaining the opportunity to craft a hero of his own in 1941. This marked a pivotal moment in Lee's career as he transitioned from a supportive role to a creative force within the comic book industry. The birth of Marvel Universe. In the transformative era of the 1960s, Stan Lee became a central figure in reshaping the comic book landscape. Collaborating with artistic visionaries like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, Lee ushered in a creative renaissance at Marvel Comics that would redefine the genre. The dynamic storytelling approach set Marvel apart, establishing a narrative synergy that would become the hallmark of the Marvel Universe. During this period, Lee co-created a pantheon of iconic characters that would transcend the pages of comic books. The genesis of Spider-Man showcased Lee's ability to infuse relatable qualities into a teenage superhero, revolutionizing the genre. Simultaneously, the X-Men emerged, their mutant struggles serving as metaphors for societal issues, adding a new layer of depth to superhero storytelling. The Avengers, with characters like Iron Man, Thor, and the Hulk, marked a groundbreaking approach to superhero team dynamics. At the heart of Marvel's creative process was the Marvel Method, a collaborative approach where artists and writers worked together to craft stories. This method not only facilitated a more dynamic and visually appealing storytelling style, but also contributed to the rapid expansion of the Marvel Universe. The introduction of Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Doctor Strange, and Black Panther showcased Marvel's commitment to diversity in characters and storytelling. The Marvel Universe expanded further with interconnected storylines and the introduction of cosmic elements like the Silver Surfer and Galactus. Lee's imagination extended to crafting complex and memorable villains that added depth to the Marvel narrative. As Marvel Comics evolved, the interconnected web of characters and storylines resonated with readers, laying the foundation for the modern superhero genre. The Marvel Revolution, as it came to be known, has left an indelible mark on popular culture. Interviews with industry experts, comic book historians, and contemporaries provide insights into how Stan Lee's vision transformed superhero storytelling, leaving a lasting impact that continues to influence generations of creators. Cultural impact. Stan Lee's impact on the comic book industry reached unprecedented heights in the 1960s as Marvel Comics redefined the superhero narrative and elevated the medium to cultural prominence. Let's discuss the profound cultural impact of Marvel and Stan Lee's role in making superheroes more relatable, complex, and reflective of the human experience. Marvel's characters, co-created by Lee, became more than just superheroes, they became reflections of society's complexities. Spider-Man, a teenager struggling with personal and social issues, resonated with a diverse audience facing their own challenges. The X-Men, with their status as mutants, became powerful metaphors for discrimination, prejudice, and the quest for acceptance. The Avengers, a team of flawed and diverse individuals, mirrored the complexities of teamwork and unity. The cultural impact extended beyond the pages of comic books. Marvel's stories addressed social and political issues, providing a platform for commentary on the real-world challenges of the time. Stan Lee's narrative choices, infused with wit and social consciousness, captured the spirit of the era and engaged readers on a deeper level. Stan Lee's ability to connect with fans went beyond the pages of his comics. His engaging and charismatic personality made him a beloved figure, and his column, Stan's Soapbox, allowed him to communicate directly with readers, fostering a sense of community. Lee's enthusiasm for the medium and his catchy catchphrases like Excelsior and True Believers endeared him to fans and further solidified Marvel's cultural presence. The integration of Marvel characters into other media forms, including television and film, would later amplify their cultural impact. The success of Marvel Cinematic Universe (MCU) films brought these characters to a global audience, solidifying their place in popular culture. Cameos and public persona. Stan Lee's cameo magic in Marvel films and TV is a playful trademark, symbolizing his enduring link to co-created characters. From early appearances to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, these moments became a cherished tradition, nodding to the legendary creator. It's a game for fans, anticipating his surprise cameos with joy, a heartfelt acknowledgement of his role in shaping the Marvel Universe. Beyond the screen, Stan Lee's public persona thrived at comic conventions and interviews, reinforcing his cultural icon status. Stan's Soapbox solidified a personal connection with fans, extending beyond comics. It reflects on how these moments celebrated his creative legacy and became a poignant tribute after his passing, immortalizing the man who not only created superheroes but became one in the hearts of fans worldwide. Challenges and controversies. Stan Lee's path in the comic book world faced significant challenges and controversies. Legal disputes, notably with co-creators Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko, brought attention to the complex issue of creator rights. In the 1990s, Marvel's financial struggles posed another obstacle. Lee navigated the company through bankruptcy, making tough decisions to preserve its creative core amidst corporate pressures. Let us delve into this period, examining the delicate balance between creative integrity and financial survival. Controversies also surfaced, with critiques of Lee's management style and accusations of taking undue credit for collaborative work. This section presents a balanced view, acknowledging both support for Lee's visionary leadership and criticisms regarding credit distribution. Interviews with industry insiders provide insights into the multifaceted challenges and controversies that shaped Stan Lee's journey. By exploring these hurdles, you must have got the nuanced perspective on how challenges and controversies influenced Lee's legacy, Marvel Comics, and the broader comic book industry. The examination adds depth to the narrative of Stan Lee's remarkable but often tumultuous career. Tribute and reflection. This concluding part explores Stan Lee's enduring legacy and the global response to his passing. It begins with a retrospective on the immediate aftermath, highlighting the widespread grief expressed by fans and industry peers through memorials and social media tributes. Moving beyond initial reactions, it delves into memorial events and dedications honoring Stan Lee's life, showcasing how the industry and fans united in celebrations at comic conventions, panels, and exhibitions to honor his memory and continue his legacy. Interviews with industry figures offer insights into Stan Lee's ongoing influence. Colleagues and collaborators share personal anecdotes reflecting on his indelible mark on the creative landscape. The part also examines the continued success of Stan Lee's characters in various media, particularly the Marvel Cinematic Universe, illustrating their enduring appeal to new generations. As the documentary concludes, it reflects on Stan Lee's timeless impact, influencing storytelling and inspiring future creators. It ends with a celebration of a man who not only co-created beloved superheroes but became a superhero himself, leaving an unparalleled legacy in the hearts of fans and entertainment history.
Especially the yellow Ford 8 of Whitmore that was very close to colliding with the Ferrari 20 and the Ford 1 at Miles. It's the Ford 7 of Muir and Hill that's leading through the S's in the forest. Behind them, the peloton is bunched together.
More than 5 decades ago, precisely in 1966, a historic chapter unfolded in the French landscape. An American automotive giant triumphed on European soil, defeating the preeminent racing manufacturer of all time, a spectacle captured by 3 cars parading through the racing line. This iconic image continues to serve as inspiration for future generations of drivers, leaving an indelible mark on the defeated Enzo Ferrari, igniting a motivation that stems from the enduring battle for the spirit of motor racing. The narrative is so compelling that it has been immortalized in the film Ford v Ferrari, which was released in 2019. Today, we'll delve even deeper into this gripping story. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos as we explore the intricacies and excitement behind the real-life events that inspired this cinematic masterpiece. Ford vs. Ferrari, how it begins. The protracted conflict between a colossal automotive entity and a modest Italian racing garage finds its roots in the legendary clash of Ford against Ferrari. The narrative unfolds in the aftermath of Le Mans '66, where, after years of trial and error, the Ford Motor Company emerged victorious, seizing the pinnacle with 3 cars from the same manufacturer crossing the finish line together. This singular achievement was complemented by 2 more 1-3 finishes at Daytona and Sebring, illustrating the magnificence of the American manufacturer's 1966 campaign. Amidst the expenditure of millions of dollars and numerous on-track battles, the year 1966 stands as a testament to Ford's resilience and triumph, marking a pivotal moment in the untold saga of Ferrari versus Ford. A year later, Enzo Ferrari orchestrated his own retaliation, adding another layer to this enduring and captivating tale of rivalry and redemption. In the motorsports arena of 1966, the World Sports Car Championship trophy found a firm grasp in the hands of automotive magnate Henry Ford. However, this victory wasn't universally celebrated within the racing community. Sterling Moss, a revered English racing icon, voiced his discontent, lamenting, "So Ferrari is a true racing manufacturer. It's sad to see a man like this beaten by a big company, especially when you realize Ford's decision to race is really just another marketing decision." With the curtain falling on the 1966 season, anticipation heightened for the 1967 World Championship. During preseason press conferences, Ferrari felt the weight of expectations and the need to redefine its position after a decade of endurance racing dominance. Simultaneously, the Italian team grappled with the demands of producing sports car prototypes, Formula One cars, V12 production cars, and more. Faced with labor disputes and shortages of crucial parts, Ferrari, traditionally entering only 2 prototypes per race, found itself up against Ford's formidable 6. As the racing world geared up for the 1967 season, commencing with the prestigious 24 Hours of Daytona, Ferrari's technical director, Mauro Forghieri, took decisive action. He meticulously reworked their 1966 B3, aiming to enhance its performance, reliability, and speed. This concerted effort gave birth to the 330 P4, a vehicle poised to redefine Ferrari's standing on the track. The 330 P4 boasted a potent new fuel-injected engine, a refined gearbox, cutting-edge magnesium wheels, and wider tires, symbolizing Ferrari's commitment to pushing the boundaries of innovation. With the notable addition of Chris Amon as a driver, who had previously steered Ford's victorious car at Le Mans alongside Bruce McLaren, Ferrari entered the 330 P4S into testing at Daytona just before Christmas. The results were promising, hinting at a competitive edge that could challenge Ford's supremacy. 1967 racing season. In the unfolding narrative of the 1967 racing season, the stage was set for a riveting clash between automotive giants. Ferrari, reinvigorated and recalibrated, stood ready to confront the challenges ahead, hoping to reclaim its position at the pinnacle of endurance racing. The 330 P4 emerged not just as a machine of speed and precision, but as a symbol of Ferrari's unwavering determination to rise above adversity and reclaim its racing legacy. As they shattered the track record previously set by Ken Miles during his triumphant drive in the inaugural 24 hours just a year prior, Ferrari left everyone astounded. What truly left onlookers, including the ever-present Ford engineers in the grandstands, utterly speechless was the realization that the track record now resembled the race pace for Ferrari. The Italian team seemed to have crafted a racing masterpiece. However, the scene was starkly different in Detroit. Ken Miles played a pivotal role in the development of the J car, but unfortunately, his fatal crash would come to symbolize the demise of the J project. Subsequent investigations revealed that the crash resulted from lift generated at high velocities, an issue that, with hindsight, could have been prevented with a simple aerodynamic lip. The J car would be revisited later during the design of the Mark IV, constructed around the reinforced J chassis. Until then, the J cars were considered unsuitable for deployment. Consequently, the older Ford GT Mach 2s emerged as the only viable option for the 1967 edition of the 24 Hours of Daytona. 6 prototypes were swiftly transported to Daytona, but these cars came with a trade-off. Their tremendous engine power came at the cost of significant weight. It was estimated at the time that each Mach 2 weighed over 200 kilograms more than the equivalent P4, presenting a challenging dynamic for the upcoming Daytona race. The juxtaposition of Ferrari's refined performance and Ford's formidable yet weighty Mach 2s set the stage for a dramatic clash at the iconic endurance event. Ford's Daytona Challenge. Ford, aside from unveiling a new car, left no stone unturned and dispatched approximately 100 mechanics to provide robust support to the team. The weekend kicked off spectacularly for the American contingent as Dan Gurney and A.J. Foyt secured pole position in their Ford, boasting a notable 0.26-second advantage achieved with new slick tires and an engine replacement. Phil Hill's Chaparral 2F claimed the second spot on the grid, while the first official Ferrari found itself in 4th place, trailing behind a private entry from an ART. However, on the following day, when the green flag signaled the start, Hill's Chaparral swiftly surged into the lead, outpacing competitors like the Pulsator and the Andretti Quinta Rabbit GT Mark II. The latter's original role was to test the limits of rival Ferraris and chaperones, providing a strategic push. Around the 3-hour mark into the race, the leading Chaparral met with an unfortunate crash, relinquishing its position. Surprisingly, it wasn't another Chaparral that assumed the lead. It was a Ferrari. Ferrari had strategically adhered to target lap times, biding their time, and eventually, the Ammon, Bandini, and Parks-driven P4S claimed the lead, holding onto it for a significant duration. Meanwhile, Ford faced mounting challenges, with their frequent visits to the pits drawing increasing media attention. Before long, it became widely known that mechanical issues were becoming a hindrance for the Ford team. Despite the determined efforts of Ford mechanics, the default cars faced unavoidable retirements during the race. The McLaren Bianchi car soldiered on as the sole surviving Ford GT, grappling with occasional overheating issues that diminished its status as a serious contender. In the end, it stood alone as the one Ford to successfully complete the race. This outcome carried a sense of poetic justice, with motorsport observers noting that the defeat served as a humbling experience, particularly for certain members of the Works team who might have harbored an illusion of invincibility after leading for almost 20 hours of the 24-hour endurance challenge. Daytona Endurance Battle. As the final moments of the race unfolded, 2 factory Ferrari P4S, expertly piloted by Bandini and Ammon, led the charge. Following closely behind was the Rodriguez-Gish private Ferrari Nart P34. In a visually striking display of dominance, these Ferraris crossed the finish line in nose-to-tail formation, capturing a moment reminiscent of Ford's iconic Le Mans photo, albeit with red cars this time. This marked a spectacular comeback for Ferrari at Daytona, etching a historic chapter in the annals of motorsport. Beyond the immediate race dynamics, the event underscored a fundamental truth in motorsport. Budget and technological prowess alone cannot guarantee success. Patience and dedication emerged as pivotal virtues, and the outcome at Daytona exemplified this lesson for both Ford and Ferrari. The victory temporarily contradicted a prominent billboard on the outskirts of Daytona Beach proudly proclaiming, "This is Ford country." However, the reality was a Ferrari triumph. Ferrari continued its triumphant run, securing another victory in Monza that year and ultimately clinching the World Championship for the 12th time at the BOAC 500 in 1968. As the motorsport landscape evolved with rule changes in 1968, the iconic 330 P4 faced its sunset, leaving an indelible mark as an endurance racing icon. Ford, on the other hand, continued its dominance with consecutive victories at Le Mans in 1968 and 1969 with the Mark I, before concluding the GT40 project. The departure of Ferrari from the series left a void in a championship that had once narrated one of the most captivating stories in motorsport, a story still revered today as a paragon of sportsmanship. Conclusion. In the aftermath of the Daytona endurance battle, the motorsport landscape witnessed a profound lesson. The Ford team's undeniable skill and innovation were met with the sobering reminder that victory is not assured solely by technical prowess and financial might. Patience and dedication emerged as the unsung heroes, underlining the essence of true sportsmanship. The enduring image of two Ferrari P4s, flanked by a private and ART entry, crossing the finish line 3 abreast, showcased the resilience and strategic brilliance of the Italian racing giant. Ferrari's triumphant comeback at Daytona became a defining moment in motorsport history, exemplifying the unpredictable and awe-inspiring nature of endurance racing. As we reflect on this gripping chapter, we invite you to like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for more captivating stories from the world of motorsports. The rivalry between Ford and Ferrari, famously depicted in the film Ford v Ferrari, continues to captivate enthusiasts worldwide. This historic competition, marked by triumphs, setbacks, and enduring legacies, serves as a timeless testament to the indomitable spirit of competition that fuels the heart of motorsport.
The Medellin cartel wanted guns, so they worked out a little trade. What was I going to tell them? I'm just a gringo who always delivers.
In the wild 80s, one guy stood out, Barry Seal. He started as a regular pilot but quickly turned into a big-time drug smuggler, flying high and low under the radar. From airports to secret meetings with bad guys, his life was like a movie. But that's not all. Barry Seal's story got even crazier when he got mixed up in a big scandal called the Iran-Contra affair. It was all about secret deals, sneaky missions, and a bunch of lies, stretching from jungles to the big shots in DC. Early life and recruitment. Long before the headlines and Hollywood lights, Barry Seal was just a regular guy with big dreams. Born into a world of blue skies and open horizons, he took to flying like a bird to the air. But soon, those innocent dreams took a sharp turn into the wild unknown. In the movie American Made, which spins Barry Seal's story into cinematic gold, we see how this ordinary pilot stumbled upon an extraordinary opportunity. Played by Tom Cruise, Seal's journey from flying commercial planes to smuggling drugs reads like a thrilling adventure novel come to life. Barry Seal's journey began in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he was born to Mary Lou and Benjamin Curtis Seal. His father, Benjamin, made a living as a candy wholesaler, while his mother, Mary Lou, provided the nurturing foundation for young Barry's early years. From his teenage years, Seal displayed an extraordinary affinity for the skies. He was drawn to the freedom and adventure that flying promised, and he wasted no time in pursuing his passion. At the tender age of 16, Seal earned his student pilot certificate, marking the beginning of his lifelong love affair with aviation. By the time he was 17, he had secured his private pilot certificate, a testament to his natural talent and determination in the cockpit. Seal's prowess as a pilot did not go unnoticed. His flight instructor, recognizing his exceptional abilities, described him as a naturally gifted aviator, a title that would come to define Seal's career in the years to come. In 1962, at the age of 23, Seal enlisted in the Louisiana Army National Guard, embarking on a new chapter of his life in service to his country. His military service spanned 6 years, with 6 months of active duty followed by 5.5 years of inactive duty. During his active duty stint, Seal was assigned to the prestigious 20th Special Forces Group, where he underwent rigorous training and graduated from the renowned United States Army Airborne School. Seal's commitment to his country extended beyond his active duty period, as he continued to serve in the 245th Engineer Battalion during his non-active duty years. His role as a radio telephone operator showcased his versatility and dedication to his military duties, laying the groundwork for the adventures that lay ahead in his remarkable life. In 1964, Barry Seal landed a job at TWA, one of the big airlines back then. He started as a flight engineer, working on planes to make sure everything was good to go. But Barry wasn't content to just stay there. He quickly moved up the ranks, first to first officer, then to captain. Flying high in the skies became Barry's everyday thing. He got to captain a Boeing 707, a big deal plane, on trips to Western Europe. And get this, Barry was so good at what he did that he became one of the youngest pilots to command a 707 in the whole TWA crew. It was like he was born to rule the skies. All these achievements sounds too good to be true, right? But reality was different, and we got to about that after his arrest. Arrested in Colombia. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, Barry Seal started smuggling marijuana way back in 1976. Then, in 1978, he moved on to smuggling cocaine, even before he had any ties to the big drug cartels. In the movie, Barry Seal becomes friends with the big bosses of the cartels, like Escobar and Ochoa. They team up and have some wild parties together in Cartagena. But things go south when the Colombian army busts up their party. While the Colombian guys get out of jail soon after, Barry stays locked up until a guy named Schaefer helps him get free. Schaefer warns Barry about the police coming after him in Baton Rouge, so he sends Barry and his family to live in Mena, Arkansas, where he gets a house and an airfield. But in real life, things went a bit differently. Barry got caught in Honduras with a bunch of cocaine and spent 9 months in jail. That's where he met a guy who worked for Ochoa, who then introduced him to the big Medellin cartel. By 1982, Barry was the main guy bringing cocaine into the southeastern United States, making loads of money every day. Barry Seal's time with TWA came to a sudden halt in July 1972. He got caught up in a scheme to smuggle plastic explosives to Mexico using a DC-4 plane. It was a big mess. The case dragged on for a couple of years, but it ended up being thrown out in 1974 because of some shady stuff the prosecutors did. However, during that time, TWA found out about Barry's involvement and didn't take it lightly. They fired him for pretending to be sick when he was actually busy with the smuggling plan. It was a rough ending to his career with the airline. Barry Seal opened up about his smuggling activities, admitting that he started with small amounts of marijuana by air around early 1976. But soon, he saw a bigger opportunity in flying loads of cocaine. Pound for pound, cocaine was way more profitable than marijuana. Things really took off for Seal when he got busted in Honduras during a return trip from smuggling drugs in Ecuador. But being in jail wasn't all bad for him. He made some important connections there, like Emil Camp, another Louisiana pilot and smuggler, and Ellis McKenzie, a local smuggler from Honduras. Plus, he met William Roger Reeves on the way back home, who introduced him to the Medellin cartel. To boost his smuggling operation, Seal brought in his ex-brother-in-law, William Bottoms, as a pilot. From 1980 onward, Bottoms became the main pilot, often flying with Camp while Seal handled the planning and operations. In 1981, Seal started smuggling cocaine for the Medellin cartel. At his peak, he was making a whopping $500,000 per flight, flying shipments of cocaine from Colombia straight to the United States. It was a risky business, but the rewards were sky high. Barry Seal had a crafty method for smuggling drugs. He'd use low-flying planes to drop packages of drugs in hidden spots across Louisiana. Then, his ground team would swoop in, grab the packages, and move them on to Colombian distributors in Florida. By 1982, Seal had a whole fleet of planes, more than a dozen, working for his smuggling operation. But all those flights and planes didn't go unnoticed. The Louisiana State Police and federal investigators started paying attention to the unusual activity. To dodge this unwanted spotlight, Seal shifted his base of operations to Mena Intermountain Regional Airport in Arkansas. There, he made tweaks to the planes, upgrading them to carry more drugs and better avionics. Despite rumors and controversies swirling around SEAL's activities in MENA, his biographer, former FBI agent Del Hahn, claimed that MENA wasn't used as a drug hub. However, in 2020, an extensive investigation by the FBI, Arkansas State Police, and IRS uncovered that Barry Seal indeed used MENA Airport for smuggling activities from late 1980 until March 1984, shedding new light on his operations. What about government? Facing the looming threat of a severe punishment and with doors closed by regional drug task forces in Florida and Louisiana, Barry Seal decided to take a shot and reach out to the Vice President's Drug Task Force, a special initiative under then Vice President George Bush. The Vice President's office directed Seal to the DEA headquarters, where DEA agent Ernst Jacobson took charge of debriefing Seal and assessing his potential as an informant. Jacobson was thoroughly impressed by Seal's extensive connections, particularly those with the influential Ochoa family. On March 28th, Seal officially agreed to collaborate with the DEA as an informant by signing a letter of agreement. In a strategic move, Seal then pleaded guilty to the second indictment against him in Florida, with his release from custody contingent upon his performance as an informant. Despite the risks and increased scrutiny, Barry Seal managed to orchestrate another significant undercover operation for the DEA in the same year. This operation was no small feat. It entailed a complex cocaine shipment journeying from Bolivia, making pit stops for refueling in Colombia and Texas, before finally reaching its destination in Las Vegas. Recognizing the perilous nature of the mission, the DEA refused to allow Seal to personally undertake the flight. Undeterred, Seal arranged for his ex-brother-in-law, William Bottoms, to take on the task. In January 1985, Bottoms piloted the flight, navigating through the intricate logistics of the operation. Despite the challenges, the mission was a success. Bottoms safely delivered the cocaine, leading to the arrest and subsequent conviction of those involved, a testament to Seal's ingenuity and resourcefulness in the face of adversity. Busted, Max Mermelstein, a big player in the Miami drug scene, testified in court about Barry Seal's situation. He said that after a documentary about Seal came out, he was shown the film and told that the drug cartel wanted Seal either caught or killed. The price tag for Seal's capture or death was shocking: $500,000 if he was killed, and a whopping $1 million if he was caught alive. Feeling pressured, Mermelstein accepted the deal, thinking saying no would mean serious trouble for him. He got a call from Fabio Ochoa and Pablo Escobar, who thanked him for his help and gave him $100,000 to cover his expenses. But before Mermelstein could find Seal, he got busted by the cops in June 1985. On the fateful evening of February 19, 1986, tragedy struck as Barry Seal met his untimely demise. Just 3 weeks into his probation, as Seal arrived at the Salvation Army Center and parked his car, an assailant emerged from a vehicle parked behind the center's donation drop boxes. Without warning, the attacker unleashed a hail of gunfire, wielding a suppressed MAC-10 submachine gun. Barry Seal was struck by 6 bullets, the fatal blows extinguishing his life almost instantly. The shocking and brazen attack brought an abrupt end to the tumultuous journey of the once high-flying smuggler, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in mystery and intrigue.
Both the ship's officers and the men, I spent a total of 6 or 7 hours being questioned and questioning the flight crews, the pilots, even the engineers.
It's almost evening on April 24th, 1980. 8 big helicopters take off from a big ship called USS Nimitz. They're flying north over the calm water of the Gulf of Oman. The pilots are going on a very risky mission. About 171 days ago, on November 4th, 1979, some Iranian students took over the American embassy in Tehran, Iran's capital city. They did this because they were happy about Iran's new government, which was against the United States. They took 53 Americans as hostages. But let us dive deeper into the story which led to this mission. How Iran became an Islamic state. By August 1978, about 44,000 Americans, including 700 soldiers, 250 people working for the Defense Department, and 8,000 contractors linked to defense were living in Iran. In the beginning of December, when there were protests against the government in Iran, the safety of American military families in the country was at risk. The Shah left Iran on January 16th, and Khomeini came back triumphantly on February 1st. He set up a new government a few days later and started making Iran into an Islamic state ruled by religious leaders. Besides making strict laws inside Iran, he also turned against Western countries like the US and the Soviet Union. On November 4, 1979, 53 Americans were captured by Iranian students at the US Embassy in Tehran. This started a long time for 144 days, when these Americans were kept as prisoners. Right away, the top people in the US government promised to get the hostages back safely. They planned to use special planes and helicopters for the rescue mission.
This morning, for the first time since the hostages were put under lock and key, one of the captives, blindfolded, was brought out into the open.
He is Harry Rosen, the embassy's press attaché.
The ambitious plan. At first, the US President Jimmy Carter didn't want to send soldiers to rescue them. But after many talks with Iran's new leaders, he decides they need to be rescued. So, on April 11, 1980, he gives the okay for Operation Eagle Claw. This is a big deal because it's the first time a new team called Delta Force, which fights terrorists, will go into action. Colonel Charlie Beckwith, who started Delta Force, is leading the mission. Along with Delta, Army Rangers will protect them. Operation Eagle Claw is really complicated. Tehran is too far away for helicopters to make a round trip without refueling, so any rescue attempt needs a stop for fuel. The hostages are still in the big embassy, needing a lot of people to search through it in a city with 5 million people, which isn't friendly to the rescuers. They plan to load 132 Delta and Ranger soldiers onto 3 special planes along with refueling aircraft. The special planes will land in a remote place called Desert One to make it safe before the helicopters come to refuel. Then, the helicopters will take the soldiers closer to Tehran. The rescue is planned for the next night, with support from gunships and a secret CIA team. After the rescue, the hostages will be taken out of Tehran from a captured airfield. It's a big and dangerous plan. Operation Eagle Claw. Around 6 p.m. local time, the special planes and refueling planes take off from an island and soon are in Iranian airspace heading to Desert One. But they face sandy storms called haboobs. The special planes are fine, but there's a problem. The warning about the storms doesn't reach the helicopters because of a communication issue. The helicopters, called Bluebeard 1 through 8, are flying silently. They spot the other planes above but don't know about the storm warnings. Suddenly, one of the helicopters, Bluebeard 6, gets a warning light about a serious problem in the rotors. It has to land, and its crew is picked up by another helicopter. At this point, there's not much room for mistakes. Around the same time, the other helicopters see their first sandy storm, 2 hours into their trip. Meanwhile, the special planes have arrived at Desert One and are starting to land. The pilots notice a fuel truck driving in the area on their special scopes. They worry this might ruin the plan. Delta Captain Wade Ishimoto decides they need to stop the truck. When the special plane lands, Ishimoto and his team chase the truck with a jeep and a motorcycle. But as they do this, a surprising thing happens. A bus full of tired Iranian people drives right into the middle of Desert One. Delta Major Logan Fitch tells his team to shoot the bus's engine to stop it. They also shoot a missile at the fuel truck, causing a big explosion. The truck driver jumps out and escapes in another truck too fast for the soldiers to catch. The leaders think the truck driver might be involved in illegal activities and won't report what happened to the Iranian authorities. But the soldiers are surprised and frustrated that their secret operation has been interrupted twice in just a few minutes. One of them jokes that now the helicopters will easily find them because the burning truck lights up the area. The soldiers take 44 Iranians from the bus and keep them under watch. They'll need to be taken back to Missouri to keep the plan secret. Despite these problems, the rest of the planes land, and the Desert One team starts setting up the refueling site. But the 7 helicopters that are left are facing trouble. The helicopters are surrounded by thick clouds of dusty powder, which mess up their equipment and make it hard to see. The sandy storms are causing big problems for their engines, and the pilots are struggling with the dusty air and hot temperatures in their cockpits. One helicopter, Bluebeard 2, starts leaking hydraulic fluid, but the crew decides to keep going. However, Bluebeard 5 isn't as lucky. Its electrical and flight instruments are failing, and the pilot can't see his partner helicopter. It's low on fuel and has to turn back to base. Now, the whole rescue mission, Operation Eagle Claw, is in big trouble. One more helicopter problem, and they'll have to cancel the mission. Major Jim Schaefer's Bluebeard 3 is now leading the way. He asks his co-pilot Les Petty when they should expect to see it. "I don't trust the machine," Petty says, "and I don't trust my map. I'd say right now." They decide to climb, and suddenly, they break through the dust cloud. Schaefer sees the mountain peak lit up by the moon. "Good job, Les. I love you," he says. Schaefer tells Colonel Beckwith that his men are shaken, but Beckwith, furious with the delay, insists on continuing the mission as long as 6 helicopters are operational. However, during refueling, Bluebeard 2's rotor stops due to dust damage. With no chance of reaching Tehran, Beckwith realizes the mission is over. He informs Washington, where President Carter and his advisors are shocked. They ask if the mission can proceed with 5 helicopters, but Beckwith knows it's too risky. They decide to abort the mission. Equipment is destroyed, and fake documents are planted to confuse the Iranians. As they prepare to leave, Carter reassures his disappointed advisors that at least no one was hurt. Bluebeards 3 and 4 take off, followed by the EC-130, and Schaefer brings Bluebeard 3 to a low altitude. U.S. forces successfully secured the Desert 1 landing zone, despite encountering complications such as the presence of a bus on a nearby road, which led to the detention of over 40 Iranians to maintain operational secrecy. However, the operation faced challenges from the start, with 2 Navy helicopters experiencing mechanical failures and visibility being severely impacted by a dust storm. When the 6 remaining helicopters finally landed at Desert 1, they were over 90 minutes behind schedule. Unfortunately, 1 helicopter was deemed unfit for service, forcing the mission to be aborted as it couldn't proceed with only 5 helicopters. During the departure, a tragic accident occurred as a helicopter collided with a C-130, resulting in the destruction of both aircraft and the loss of 5 Air Force personnel and 3 Marines. The surviving troops were quickly evacuated by plane, leaving behind several helicopters, equipment, weapons, maps, and the deceased. Colonel Beckwith, forced to abandon the mission, made the difficult decision to retreat, marking the end of Operation Eagle Claw. The failure of the mission not only underscored the complexities of conducting military operations in hostile environments, but also had significant political ramifications, contributing to President Carter's defeat in the 1980 election.